The red pasta sauce was burning my eyes, dripping down my face and ruining the only nice white dress I owned. I could hear the gasp of the crowd, the shudder of camera phones, and the high-pitched, cruel laughter of the woman who was supposed to be my future mother-in-law. She had stuck her foot out. I knew she had. She had tripped me on purpose right as the waiter passed, sending a tray of appetizers flying all over me. But as I wiped the sauce from my eyes, stinging with humiliation, I didn't see concern on my boyfriend's face. I saw shame. He was ashamed of me. Before I tell you how I destroyed this family's legacy in less than 10 minutes, make sure you smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You are not going to want to miss the justice in this story. And trust me, the ending is sweeter than you can imagine. My name is Melissa, and for the last 2 years I have been living a lie. A necessary lie, but a lie nonetheless. To the world and specifically to my boyfriend Lucas, I am Melissa Harper, a struggling freelance copywriter who drives a dented 2015 Honda Civic and shops with coupons. I live in a studio apartment where the radiator clanks all night, and I have black hair that I tie back in a messy bun because I supposedly can't afford a salon visit. But the truth? My last name isn't Harper. It's Cole. As in Alexander Cole, the CEO of Cole Tech Industries. My father is worth $4 billion. I grew up in a world where private jets were our taxis and weekends were spent in Paris or Milan. But I hated it. Not the comfort but the fakeness. The people who smiled at me only saw dollar signs. Men dated me to get close to my father. Friends hung around for the free trips. So when I finished grad school, I made a pact with my dad. I wanted 2 years of total anonymity. I wanted to know if I could be loved for just being me, awkward, bookish, simple Melissa. My dad, Alexander, was terrified for my safety, but he agreed, on the condition that I had a panic button on my keychain that alerted his private security team instantly. For 23 months it was bliss. I was invisible and I was happy. That was until I met Lucas Morgan. We met at a dog park. He was throwing a ball for a golden retriever, and I was reading a book on a bench. He was handsome in that clean-cut corporate way, with a smile that made you feel like the only person in the room. He worked in finance for his father's boutique investment firm. He wasn't a billionaire, but his family was wealthy. The kind of wealthy that cares very deeply about appearances. We dated for 8 months. I fell hard. Lucas seemed different. He didn't care that my car made a rattling noise. He didn't care that we ate at taco trucks instead of 5-star steakhouses. He told me he loved my simplicity. He said I was refreshingly low maintenance. I thought I had found the one. I thought he loved me. But looking back, I realized there were signs I ignored. Like the way he'd subtly suggest I change my shoes before we met his friends. Or the way he never wanted to come to my apartment, always preferring his place. I brushed it off. I was in love. Then came the invitation. The Morgan family charity gala. It was the biggest event of their year, held at their sprawling estate. "My mother is dying to meet you," Lucas had said, looking a bit nervous. "Just, maybe wear something elegant? She can be a bit old-fashioned." I decided this was the night. I would go as Melissa Harper one last time. If his family accepted me as the poor, struggling writer, then I would tell Lucas the truth the next day. I would reveal that his low-maintenance girlfriend was actually the heiress to a tech empire. I wanted to surprise him. I wanted to give him the world. I spent hours getting ready. I bought a white cocktail dress. It wasn't designer. It was from a rack at a department store costing maybe $60, but it fit me perfectly. It contrasted sharply with my jet black hair and pale skin. I felt beautiful. I felt real. I drove myself to the estate because Lucas had to be there early for family photos. When I pulled up to the gate in my dented Honda, the valet looked at my car like it was a contagious disease. "Deliveries are in the back," he sneered, waving me away. "I'm a guest," I said, handing him my invitation. He checked the list, raised an eyebrow, and reluctantly took my keys, handling them with 2 fingers as if they were sticky. I walked up the massive stone steps, my heart pounding. The house was magnificent, I'll give them that. Marble columns, manicured hedges, soft jazz floating through the air. Inside, the room was a sea of silk, velvet, and diamonds. Everyone looked like they had been polished to a shine. I took a deep breath and stepped into the ballroom. Almost immediately I felt the eyes. It wasn't curiosity, it was assessment. Women scanned my dress, their eyes lingering on the lack of a designer label, the simple stitching. Men glanced at my bare neck, noting the absence of jewelry. I clutched my small clutch bag tighter. "Melissa." I heard Lucas's voice. I turned to see him approaching. He looked dashing in a tuxedo, but his smile didn't reach his eyes. He looked stressed. He grabbed my arm a little too tightly. "You made it," he said, his voice hushed. He quickly scanned the room as if checking to see who was watching us. "You look nice. Is that the dress you chose?" "Yes," I smiled, trying to ignore the sinking feeling in my gut. "Do you like it?" "It's very simple," he said, forcing a smile. "Come on, Mother is holding court by the fountain. We have to get this over with." Get this over with? That should have been my cue to turn around and leave. But I didn't. I let him lead me through the crowd. We approached a woman who looked like she was carved out of ice and draped in diamonds. Cassandra Morgan. She was terrifyingly beautiful in a severe surgical way. She wore a gown that probably cost more than my college tuition. Beside her was a girl who looked like a younger, meaner clone, Lillian Lucas's sister. And standing with a scotch in hand was Noah Morgan, the father. Lucas cleared his throat. "Mother, father. This is Melissa, the girl I've been telling you about." Cassandra Morgan turned her gaze on me. It felt like walking into a freezer. She didn't smile. She didn't extend a hand. She just looked. From my black hair, down to my off-the-rack dress, down to my scuffed heels and back up to my face. "Oh," she said. Just one word. But she filled that single syllable with so much disappointment it was heavy. "So this is the writer." "Hi, Mrs. Morgan," I said, extending my hand. "It's such a pleasure to finally meet you. Lucas speaks so highly of you." She let my hand hang in the air for 5 agonizing seconds before giving it a limp, cold tap. "Does he?" she said, turning her attention back to her wine glass. "I suppose he failed to mention the dress code was black tie, not whatever this is. Did you get that at a garage sale, dear?" Lillian, the sister, snickered loudly. "Mom, be nice. Maybe it's vintage. Like very, very vintage. Like from the clearance bin of history." I felt the heat rise in my cheeks. "It's new, actually," I said, keeping my voice steady. "I think it's elegant." "Elegant?" Cassandra repeated the word like it tasted bad. "Lucas, darling, I thought you said she had potential. She looks like the help. Actually, the help is better dressed. The catering staff is wearing Armani uniforms." Lucas shifted his weight, looking at the floor. "Mom, please. Not here." "If not here, then where?" Cassandra snapped, her voice rising so the nearby guests could hear. "You bring this person into our home, to our gala, looking like a stray cat you picked up off the street? It's insulting to our guests, Lucas. It's insulting to me." I looked at Lucas, waiting for him to say, "She's beautiful, Mom, stop it." Waiting for him to say, "I love her." But he said nothing. He just looked red-faced and embarrassed. "I apologize if my attire offends you, Mrs. Morgan," I said, my voice hardening slightly. "I thought the purpose of tonight was charity, helping those with less. I didn't realize it was a fashion show." The circle of people around us went silent. Cassandra's eyes narrowed into slits. "Charity is for us to give to the poor, dear," she hissed, stepping closer to me. "Not for us to socialize with them. You clearly don't understand how this world works. You are a tourist here. And a very poorly dressed one at that." She turned her back on me, effectively dismissing me from existence. "Lucas, fix this. Or get her out of my sight." Lucas grabbed my elbow and practically dragged me away toward the buffet tables. "Why did you have to talk back to her?" he hissed at me once we were out of earshot. "Are you crazy? She controls my trust fund, Melissa. She insulted me, Lucas. She called me a stray cat." "Well, look at you," he snapped, gesturing at my dress. "Everyone else is in Vera Wang and Chanel, and you're wearing polyester. I told you this was important. You're embarrassing me." I stared at him, the man I loved, the man I thought was different. He wasn't looking at me with love. He was looking at me like I was a stain on his reputation. I'm embarrassing you? I whispered. Lucas, if you loved me, it wouldn't matter if I was wearing a potato sack. Grow up, Melissa. Love doesn't pay the country club fees, he muttered, turning to grab a drink from a passing waiter. I stood there alone in the crowd fighting back tears. I should have left. I should have walked out right then. But I had brought a gift. A stupid sentimental gift for his parents to thank them for hosting. I wanted to be a bigger person. I wanted to prove I had class even if I didn't have their money. I walked back toward the center of the room, holding the small gift bag. But as I passed a waiter carrying a heavy tray of pasta with red marinara sauce, I saw Cassandra watching me from across the room. She smiled. A wicked tiny smile. She stepped out, extending her leg in a motion that was too smooth to be accidental, catching the toe of my shoe. I stumbled forward, arms flailing, and crashed directly into the waiter. The tray flipped. Cold, thick red sauce cascaded over my head, my shoulders, and down the front of my white dress. The crash of plates shattering on the marble floor silenced the room instantly. I gasped, wiping sauce from my eyes, looking up to see Cassandra standing over me, not a drop on her. "Oh my God!" she screamed, playing the victim perfectly. "Look what you've done. You clumsy, classless idiot. You've ruined the floor." I sat there on the cold marble, the red sauce soaking through to my skin, smelling of garlic and expensive wine. I could feel the sticky mess matting my black hair against my neck. But the physical discomfort was nothing compared to the sound that followed. Laughter. It started with Lillian, a high-pitched giggle that cut through the silence, and then it spread. The guests, these pillars of society, were chuckling behind their hands. Phones were raised. Flashlights blinded me. I looked up, blinking through the red mess, desperate to find Lucas. He was standing 5 feet away. He wasn't laughing, but he wasn't moving toward me either. He was wiping a tiny speck of sauce off his tuxedo jacket with a look of absolute revulsion. "Lucas," I choked out, my voice trembling. "Please, help me up." He looked at his mother, then at the guests, and finally at me. "God, Melissa," he hissed, loud enough for the front row to hear. "I told you to be careful. Look at this mess. You're ruining everything." His mother, Cassandra, stepped forward, looming over me like a wicked queen. She didn't offer a napkin. She didn't offer a hand. She gestured to the security guard standing by the door. "Get this trash out of my house," she commanded. "And send her the bill for the dry cleaning of the rug. Although I doubt she can afford to pay for it." "Wait," Lillian shouted, stepping closer with her phone held high, recording vertically. "This is gold. The little poverty princess tries to crash the ball and ends up wearing the buffet. Smile for the camera, Melissa. You're finally going to be famous." The humiliation was a physical weight crushing my chest. I scrambled to my feet, slipping slightly in the sauce, which only made them laugh harder. I wiped my face with the back of my hand, smearing the red streaks. I stood alone in the center of the ballroom, a girl in a ruined cheap dress surrounded by vultures in diamonds. "I didn't trip," I said, my voice shaking but gaining strength. I looked directly at Cassandra. "You tripped me. I saw your foot." The room went deadly silent again. Cassandra's eyes bulged. "Excuse me," she screeched. "You clumsy, lying little gold digger. You dare accuse me? In my own home." She turned to Lucas. "Do you hear this? She's delusional. This is what happens when you bring street trash into a palace. They don't know how to act, so they blame their betters." Lucas finally stepped forward, but not to defend me. He grabbed my arm, his fingers digging into my bruise. "Stop lying, Melissa," he snapped. "My mother is a lady. You're just a mess. Just leave. Go back to your apartment in your sad little life. We're done." The words hung in the air. We're done. He was breaking up with me. Here. Now. Covered in pasta sauce in front of 300 people. "You're breaking up with me?" I whispered. "Because your mother tripped me? I'm breaking up with you because you don't fit." Lucas shouted, losing his composure. "Look at you. You're an embarrassment. I need someone who can handle this world. Not someone I have to apologize for every 5 minutes. You were a fun experiment, Melissa, but let's be real. You were never going to be a Morgan. Tears mixed with the sauce on my cheeks. But as his words sank in, something inside me shifted. The sadness evaporated, replaced by a cold, hard fury. A fury that I inherited directly from Alexander Cole. I reached into my pocket, my fingers brushing against my car keys. But I didn't grab the car key. I grabbed the small black fob attached to it. The panic button. My father had told me, use it only in an emergency. Use it if you are in danger. Well, my heart was in danger. My dignity was being murdered. I pressed the button. I held it down for 3 seconds until the tiny red light blinked once. You're right, Lucas, I said, my voice suddenly calm, eerily steady. I pulled my arm out of his grip. I don't fit in here. And thank God for that. I turned to Cassandra. You called me a gold digger. You think I'm here for your money? Cassandra laughed, a harsh barking sound. Of course you are. Why else would someone like you date someone like him? You wanted a payout. Well, here. She reached into her clutch, pulled out a crisp $100 bill, and threw it at my face. The bill fluttered down and landed in the pasta sauce at my feet. Take it for a cab. And buy yourself some dignity on the way home. Before I tell you what happened next, because you seriously won't believe the entrance my father is about to make. Hit that like button if you think Lucas is the biggest coward on the planet. And subscribe if you want to see exactly how the Morgan family pays for this. Okay, back to the destruction. I looked down at the $100 bill. Then I looked up at Cassandra. I don't need your money, Mrs. Morgan. In fact, I checked my invisible watch. I think you're going to need every penny of it for your legal fees. Is that a threat? Noah Morgan, the father, finally spoke up, stepping forward with a sneer. Security. Drag her out. Now. 2 large men in black suits started marching toward me. The crowd parted, eager to see the trash taken out. Lucas turned his back on me, sipping his drink. I stood my ground. I wouldn't touch me if I were you, I said to the guards. Grab her, Cassandra shrieked. One guard reached out, his hand inches from my shoulder. TWP. A sound, distant at first, then rapidly getting louder. A rhythmic thumping that vibrated on the floorboards. The champagne glasses on the tables started to tremble. The liquid inside rippled. TWP. The noise grew to a roar. The wind outside picked up, thrashing the manicured hedges against the windows. What is that? Someone shouted. Is that a storm? The guard hesitated, looking at the ceiling. The crystal chandelier above us began to sway violently, clinking like wind chimes in a hurricane. Suddenly, floodlights blinded everyone through the massive French doors leading to the garden. A sleek black helicopter, emblazoned with a silver C logo, was descending right onto the Morgans' prized rose garden. The downdraft was immense. It blew open the French doors with a crash. Napkins and tablecloths flew into the air. Guests screamed, clutching their wigs and expensive hairdos. My roses! Cassandra screamed. Who dares land on my lawn? The helicopter touched down, crushing the gazebo. The side door slid open before the rotors even stopped. 4 men jumped out. These weren't rent-a-cops like the Morgan security. These were elite private military contractors. They wore tactical gear and earpieces. They marched into the ballroom with terrifying precision. The guests scrambled back in fear. Who are you? Noah Morgan shouted, trying to sound authoritative but failing. This is private property. The tactical team ignored him. They formed a protective perimeter around me. Then a 5th man stepped out of the helicopter. He didn't run. He walked. He wore a bespoke Italian suit that made the Morgan men look like they were wearing costumes. He had silver hair and eyes that could cut glass. A hush fell over the room so deep you could hear a heartbeat. Everyone knew that face. They had seen it on the news, on the cover of Forbes, on the stock market ticker every morning. It was Alexander Cole, the 4th richest man in the country. Oh my God, Lillian whispered, dropping her phone. That's Alexander Cole. Cassandra looked confused. Alexander Cole? Why is he here? We didn't invite him. Alexander walked straight through the crowd. He didn't look at the guests. He didn't look at the Morgans. He walked right up to me. He took in the sight of his only daughter, covered in red sauce, shaking with $100 bill at her feet. His face went from calm to an expression of terrifying cold rage. "Melissa," he said softly, his voice a stark contrast to the violence in his eyes. "Are you hurt?" "I'm okay, Dad," I whispered, the tears finally falling freely now that I was safe. "I'm just ready to go." "Dad." Lucas choked out the word. He spun around, his face draining of all color. "Dad," Cassandra repeated, her knees actually buckling. "Wait. You called him Dad." Alexander Cole slowly took off his jacket, a jacket worth more than Lucas's car, and wrapped it gently around my shoulders, covering the stained dress. He wiped a smudge of sauce from my cheek with his thumb. Then he turned to face the Morgans. "Who did this?" he asked. He didn't shout. He didn't have to. The authority in his voice was absolute. "Mr. Cole," Noah Morgan stammered, stepping forward with a trembling hand extended. I am Noah Morgan. It is an honor." "I didn't ask who you are," my father said, ignoring the hand. "I know who you are. You run a mid-tier investment firm that my company was considering acquiring next quarter." "Ask, who did this to my daughter?" Cassandra let out a strangled squeak. Your daughter?" "But," she said her name was Harper. "She drives a Honda. She looks like she wanted to see if you were decent human beings." My father cut her off. "She wanted to know if you would love her without the Cole billions attached to her name. And judging by the sauce on her dress and the tears in her eyes, I have my answer." Lucas stumbled forward, looking like he was about to vomit. "Melissa, wait. You're an heiress? Why didn't you tell me?" I looked at him from the safety of my father's arm. "Would it have mattered, Lucas?" I asked. "If you knew I was worth $4 billion, would you have let your mother trip me? Would you have let them call me trash?" I didn't know she'd tripped you." Lucas lied, desperation clawing at his voice. "I love you, Melissa. I was stressed. Please, baby, we can fix this." "Don't call her baby," my father said. The tactical team took a step forward and Lucas shrank back. "You stood there," I said, my voice ringing clear in the silent ballroom. "You watched them humiliate me. You broke up with me because I was an embarrassment. You only love the idea of status, Lucas. And you just lost the biggest status upgrade of your life." "Mr. Cole, please," Cassandra wailed, realizing her social life was flashing before her eyes. "It was a misunderstanding. We were playing. It was a joke. Tell him, Melissa. Tell him we were just joking." My father looked at the $100 bill still lying on the floor in the puddle of sauce. He walked over and picked it up. He held it out to Cassandra. "You threw this at her?" I was offering her cab fare." Cassandra sobbed. "Keep it," my father said, dropping the bill back onto the floor. "You're going to need it. Because as of this moment, Coltech is pulling every asset we have from Morgan Investments. And I'm going to make it my personal mission to ensure every partner, every bank, and every client in this city knows exactly how the Morgan family treats guests." "No," Noah Morgan screamed. "You can't do that. That will bankrupt us. We're leveraged to the hilt. Please, Mr. Cole, have mercy." "Mercy?" My father looked at me, his eyes softening. "Did they show you mercy, sweetheart?" I looked at Cassandra, mascara running down her face. I looked at Lillian, who was frantically deleting her Instagram story. I looked at Lucas, a coward in a tuxedo. "No, Dad," I said. "They didn't." "Then neither shall we," my father said simply. He pulled out his phone, dialed a single number, and put it on speaker. The room was so quiet you could hear the ringtone echo against the high ceilings. "Execute the withdrawal," Alexander said calmly. "The Morgan accounts. All of them. And leak the audit report to the press. Tonight." "Done, sir." A voice on the other end replied instantly. Noah Morgan's phone began to buzz in his pocket. Then Cassandra's. Then Lucas's. It was a domino effect of digital destruction. Noah pulled out his phone, staring at the screen in horror. The bank. They've just called in the loans. All of them. They're freezing our assets. He looked up, his face gray. We're ruined. We are actually ruined. Cassandra threw herself at my feet. Literally. The woman who wouldn't touch my hand 5 minutes ago was now clutching the hem of my sauce-stained dress. Melissa, please. You're a good girl. I know you are. Don't let him do this. We have a mortgage. We have a reputation. I looked down at her. You have a reputation, all right, I said coldly. And now it finally matches your character. I gently pulled my dress from her grip. Get up, Cassandra. You're staining my dress even more with your fake tears. Melissa, Lucas shouted, pushing past a waiter to get to me. 2 of my father's security guards stepped in his path, forming a wall of muscle. Lucas stopped, looking at me through the gap between their shoulders. I love you. You know I love you. I was scared of them. He pointed at his parents. I'm a victim here too. Take me with you. Let's leave them. It can be just us like you wanted. Melissa and Lucas against the world. I laughed. It was a dry, hollow sound. There is no Melissa and Lucas, I said. There never was. There was just a lonely girl and a man who loved her mask because it made him feel superior. You didn't love me, Lucas. You loved that I was small so you could feel big. And now that you know I'm bigger than you, you don't love me. You just want a lifeboat. Let's go, sweetheart, my father said, guiding me toward the shattered French doors. The air in here is toxic. As we walked toward the helicopter, the wind whipping my hair and the ruined dress, I stopped one last time. I turned back to the ballroom. The guests were all filming. Lillian was still standing there, mouth open, holding her phone. Lillian, I called out over the roar of the rotors. She flinched. Make sure you post that video, I shouted. Don't edit a single second. I want the world to see exactly who the Morgans are. We climbed into the helicopter. The doors slid shut, sealing out the noise of the party, the screaming Cassandra, and the begging Lucas. As we lifted off, I looked down. The Morgan estate shrank beneath us, becoming nothing more than a dollhouse. A very expensive, very empty dollhouse. I rested my head on my father's shoulder and closed my eyes. I'm sorry, Dad, I whispered. I wasted 2 years. You didn't waste them, he said, kissing the top of my head. You learned. And that is worth more than all the money in the bank. Besides, he chuckled darkly, I've been trying to find a reason to crush Noah Morgan's business for a decade. You just gave me the moral high ground to finally do it. If you are cheering for this level of petty billionaire justice, you need to hit that subscribe button right now. We are building a community of people who don't take nonsense from anyone. And comment below. What would you have done if Lucas tried to get in the helicopter with you? Would you have pushed him out? Let me know in the comments. The fallout was swift and absolute. Lillian did post the video, or rather someone else did. One of the guests who had been recording from a different angle uploaded it to TikTok within the hour. It was titled Billionaire Heiress Humiliated by Broke Snobs. It had 5 million views by the time I woke up the next morning. The comments were brutal. The internet does not forgive, and it certainly does not forget. Hashtag Boycott Morgan Investments was trending at #1 worldwide. Within 48 hours, the Morgan family was a pariah. Clients pulled their money so fast that the firm collapsed before the week was out. Noah Morgan filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The estate, the one with the marble floors I had ruined, was put up for auction to pay off their debts. I heard a rumor that they moved into a 2-bedroom condo in a less desirable part of the city. I also heard that Lucas is working as a junior teller at a local bank branch. I considered going in there to deposit a check just to see the look on his face, but I decided against it. He isn't worth the gas money. As for me, I stopped hiding. I realized that hiding my identity was just another way of letting money define me. I am Melissa Cole. I am rich, yes, but I am also a writer. I am kind. I am a dog lover. I am a survivor. I started my own nonprofit organization dedicated to providing formal wear and job interview coaching for underprivileged women. We call it the Cinderella Project. We help women feel confident, no matter what their bank account looks like. Because I learned the hard way that a dress doesn't make a woman. The woman makes the dress. 3 months later, I was overseeing a donation drive at the community center. I was wearing jeans and a t-shirt, carrying a box of shoes. I bumped into someone. A guy. He caught the box before it fell. "Whoa, careful there," he smiled. He had kind eyes and dirt under his fingernails. He was a volunteer carpenter building shelves for our storage room. "I'm Ben," he said. "I'm Melissa," I replied. "Nice to meet you, Melissa. Need a hand with that?" He didn't know who I was. He didn't look at my shoes. He just saw a girl carrying a heavy box. "Yes," I smiled, feeling a genuine spark for the first time in a long time. "I could use a hand. We're taking it slow. I haven't told him about the helicopter yet. I haven't told him about the billions. But I'm not hiding it either. I'm just letting him get to know me. And this time, I know the difference between someone who loves the mystery and someone who loves the person. Lucas taught me a painful lesson, but it was a necessary one. He taught me that when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time." And to Cassandra Morgan, if you're watching this from your small apartment on a borrowed adjust a chair, thank you. Thank you for tripping me. Thank you for the pasta sauce. Thank you for the humiliation. Because when you knocked me down, you didn't destroy me. You just knocked me into the reality of who I was supposed to be. You cleared the path for my real life to begin. And honestly, that was the best gift you could have ever given me. Remember, you are valuable not because of what you wear or what you drive, but because of who you are. Don't let anyone make you feel small just so they can feel tall. Stand up. Speak out. And if you have to, call in the helicopter. Thank you for reading my story. If you enjoyed this journey of heartbreak and revenge, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell so you never miss a story. Stay strong, stay kind, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.